I'm going to review how to make kitchen countertops. So we did this in class together on just like the slab parts, the parts that we don't yet have a sink to them. So I'm going to review that quickly, and then I'm going to demo how to do one with a sink cutout also. And at the end, I'll kind of show you how to do the waterfall edges too, which a lot of us are doing. All right, so for this section here, so there's countertop here, and then it breaks, and we have a stove, and then we'll have an L. So first do the ones that don't have your sink. If you have an L shape, you're going to measure all that out. But for this guy, it's pretty simple, excuse me. You're going to do the width of it here. So it's 3 feet wide. And then let me hit escape here. And I'm using my little tape measure tool. And it's 2 feet, basically 2 feet in depth. Now I want a little bit of overhang for all these. So I'm going to add an inch to all my measurements. So here's my original one over here, but I'm just going to redo it. So this one is going to be 3 foot 1 inches. And then I'm going to go this way, 2 foot 1, and then 3 foot 1 that way, and then connect it like that. Now, before I pull it up, give it some depth, I'm going to paint it in the texture I already have here because that'll just make things go faster and I don't have to paint around every little edge. So let me just pause while it's saving itself here. All right, so I already have the texture I want over here. So I'm just going to use my little select tool and I'll pick that up, and then I'm going to paint in here. So now I'm going to pull this up 1.5 inches, so 1.5 inches. The math of that is right from the floor to the top of your the base of your cabinet is 34.5 inches on most US brands. Kitchen counter height is 36 inches, so that's where we get this 1.5 inches. Some of this may differ based on your material in the real world. Some stones might be a little thicker. Your client just wants a look of something thicker. But this is kind of the standard we're going to do in our class. So now what I did is I took my select tool up here, just a little pointer. I'm collecting the whole thing. So I left click, do that again. I'm left click and I'm dragging down. So I've got everything. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say make component. And I'm just going to call this like counter small or counter 1, just so you remember kind of what you've got there. All right, so now what this has done is it's made this like our pieces of furniture that we pulled in. It's all basically glued together. I can move it around without it kind of like morphing on me. So in this case, I'm going to kind of pivot around to here, get the little corner here, and pull it around. Let's see. Oh, I got to pivot myself this way now with my computer. Whoops, come on. All right, so I'm over here now, pivoting around. Oh, I lost the little guy. Where did he go? Oh, hold on, let's pause it. Okay, sorry, we have like technical difficulties with the wind today. All right, so I'm gonna pull it over from here. I'm gonna get the corner like right here. There we go, down there. Okay, and this is gonna line up with the back corner right here of this part of my cabinet. Now, one of the things we can do to see this is actually put on this little blue button here, which is the X-ray. So now I can kind of see exactly that point there. So we're going to pull that over in just a second there. All right, so I'm back to having my move command and I'm pulling it right there. So let me turn off the X-ray so you can see it. But now it's lined up here to that back corner edge. It's not quite hitting my stove, and it's also overlapping just a tiny bit, which is, again, real world how we're going to see it. Now for the part with the sink, some of you might have straight or L. I'm going to math that out in a second and show you how to do that. But first, you want to have your kitchen sink downloaded. So I'm going to pull mine in here just so you can see that, and we can see the math of it too as we figure that out. Okay, so I've brought down or imported my sink and my faucet too, since I'll be kind of part of this production here. One of the things to pay attention to, as I told you in class, most of you, I encourage you to have a minimum of a 3 foot, minimum of a 30-inch cabinet, or up to a 3 foot. You can even go up to 42 inches, but in this smaller house, a 3 foot one should be just fine. So the way this works is that's the 3 foot. This is actually the opening for the sink itself. So you kind of want to, obviously pair up the size of your sink. You can't install a sink larger than the cabinet, because the way these cabinets come is they're usually, again, they have a blank top to them, like they're open here, and that's where you put your sink in. You can also do things which are called undermount, which means the countertop is here. We cut the hole into it, and then the sink is mounted underneath. What I have is what's called a drop-in, which is going to kind of help cover up this hole. So this one is a little bit easier to work with than the kind that are the undermounts. I'll help you with that. No, at this stage, we don't expect you to cut this perfectly. This is a little bit tricky. So let's first start with the math of what I've got on this side of the counter. So let me kind of just pivot around a little bit to get a hold of that counter there. So I'm going to go from this edge to the back wall is going to be 5 foot 5.5. And I'm going to cut that pretty precisely because I don't really have a lot of room here for an overhang. So it's 5 foot 5.5. All right, so we're going to draw that over here. Again, I always do this away from this because you're going to have to manipulate this and you don't want to swirl things around in here because everything's going to stick to it. So 5 foot 5.5 inches. All right. And then the next stretch is going to be basically from here to all the way to here. So I got to kind of pivot around a little bit. So, and this is going to be pretty precise too, because I'm going right up next to this. This is my fridge. I actually have my fridge and like paneling here. So this is going to go to here, 8 foot 11.5. Okay. So now it's this back edge is 8 foot. So 8 foot 11.5 inches. Oh, wait, hold on. What am I doing there? 8 foot 11.5 inches. Okay, now we're good. Now, this guy, again, is going to be 24 inches deep, but with a 1 inch overhang. So it's basically 2 foot, 1 inch. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So it's 2 foot, 1 inch. All right, the easiest way to kind of line these up is I can go all the way to here, and then I can go all the way to there. But now I'm going to take out that middle section there. All right, before I go further, I'm going to paint this guy too now. So I'm going to get the select tool, select this kind of material I have over on the left, paint it in. So before we bring it up, we want to cut out where the sink is going to be. So I have to now do some math and figure out what I'm going to do first is figure out where the center is right here. So I'm going to go basically from here. And then if I hover here, a lot of times, see how it's snapping right there? That's the center of that cabinet. Sometimes you'll actually get this as a little blue dot. That'll be your indication that you're on the center line of something. So this is nice. It's nice math for me. It's 4 foot 6. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to pull this down 4 foot 6 inches. Okay. Now the exact kind of opening of my sink here is basically 2 foot 9. All right, now I gotta make that's 33 inches. All right, that's gonna be a little tricky math wise. Let me see. I'm gonna do 15. This is where you learn how great I am at math. So, oh, you know what? We're gonna pause and I'm gonna look that up real quick because okay, this is where math is my friend, right? So half of 33 is 16.5 inches. So I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to pull this line this way, 16.5 inches. Then I'm going to go this way, 16.5 inches. Up to do it. It's still rolling. Hang on. All right. So this way, 16.5 inches. Come on. There we go. Okay, now we got it. All right. So the sink is not as wide as my countertop because we're going to need some space to put the sink faucet and other things. So it does not take up this whole block here. So we got to check on the width of this guy. So it's roughly 1 foot 6, a little bit over. So basically 18 inches. So I'm going to bring this line up, say about 2 inches. And then I'm going to do 18 inches. And let's see what we got left over. We have 5 inches. That's fine. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. I might come back and make this a little bit smaller just in case, but right now we're going to take this part out and then delete this part. So now we have our counter is perfectly flat, but we have the hole cut out for it. So I'm going to get rid of all these little math lines for now, just because we don't need them anymore. And there we go. And there we go. Okay. And that one. Oops. We don't want that. All right, this one here. Apparently that one just wants to stay. Okay, now we're gonna pull this guy up 1.5 inches. So 1.5 right there. All right, then we're gonna get our select tool, select the whole thing, say make a component. This will be counter with sink. Create. All right, we're good with that. All right, now this guy, the way I'm gonna bring this one over is I think I'm gonna line it up probably with the left corner right here. So I'm gonna put my X-ray back on. So it's that little blue box right there. And I'm gonna get way down in to get this little, actually no, it was this little corner I want right here, right here. All right, and then I'm gonna bring this over and line it right up with the counter right here. All right, and now we're just gonna put off the X-ray. Now, if things are a little off, remember you can always kind of pull and push this again. So if we wanted to, I could like say, for example, things aren't right over here on this end, I can do edit component and I can push and pull these pieces kind of into shape, which we might have to do for the sink here because it looks like my opening might be a little too big. But now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this sink over. And the trick with this sink, because again, mine is a drop in, meaning you're going to see this lip. We're going to drop it into the hole. So let's bring it over now. I'm going to try to get like what's the midpoint of this sink. It's kind of, oh, did it say that? Yeah, no, that's end point. Somewhere ahead midpoint. Let's try to get into the back here, maybe. That might be it. Okay. So we're going to bring it over here, bring it over to the little hole. And yeah, it looks like my opening is kind of big. Let's see. That's not too bad. Let me shimmy here. Now this guy now needs to be brought up a teeny tiny bit too. So we're gonna now go up with my little sink. So I'm gonna say maybe like a half an inch. Yeah, okay, that's good. So what you can see now is see how the lip of it is sitting on there. Now there's a couple of things going on here. So this has a curved edge, and I obviously drew a rectangle. So you can go back in and edit this guy to kind of match those curves. So kind of the best way to do that is you right click, you say edit component. Actually, no, you know what, a better way to do this? Let's do it this way. We're gonna pull it out of the space here just so we can see it better. So I'm gonna actually copy it. So I'm gonna edit C, edit V, put it over here. So I kind of can like muck around with this version and then replace it. So we're gonna zoom in here. Come on. Okay, so I'm over here now editing this countertop to kind of add some curve to it. So we're gonna say edit component. And for your arcs, there's many ways to do it. I find the 2.1 the easiest. So it's basically the start and end point of your arc. Drawing on this plane is really difficult. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make a rectangle, and then I've got a flat drawing plane to work from basically. So that's going to help us out a little bit more. So the 2-point arc, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go like this. And now you want it to kind of say that it's on the face. So see how I'm going that way and it's on the face. For some reason, when it's going blue, it's like there. Now it's on the face. It was kind of jumping up into the air instead. So there's one curve. And then I'm going to pause it and do all the other curves. But understand, this is kind of difficult. So actually, well, no, I'll demo one more just so you can kind of see what it's supposed to be doing, hopefully. So we're going to click here, click here. Oh, see now where it's pink like that? There, it says, see how it's on face? We're good. Okay. So I'm going to do all 4 curves and I'll show you kind of how I'm going to clean that up. All right, so my curves are not perfect. They're not all the same. This is tricky to do with these darn sinks. So one of the things we're going to do first now is take out this inside shape because that's where my sink's going to go. Then what we want to do is actually we're going to just paint in these edges here. So we're going to paint it in with, again, our paintbrush over here. I've already got my cream countertop. So see how we're going to like paint that in, and we're going to kind of fake it out. So one of the things we can do here is sort of delete here. Now it is kind of deleting the understructure, some of the edges of my countertop. It's not a big deal because we're never going to see that. So we're going to just kind of curve the edges like this. All right, so this one now is how we want this to look. Let me get this guy out of the way. So we're going to kind of pull him up. Oh, wait, I forgot I was doing this. So because I edited this and it's the same component, it edited this one for me. So if you look and see when I went to move it, there you go. So the trick is if you don't want to edit this, you have to right click and say make unique. And then when I edit the one on top, they're no longer connected. So if we zoom in here, this guy's looking pretty good. So some of my edges are a little funky, like this one right here is not the best. So I will probably go back and edit it up here actually, so I can see this a little better. So since these two are linked, I can kind of edit on this guy. So I'm going to make that curve. And I think the one on the right just a little bit tighter. So I'm going to pause and then you can kind of, oh, no, we're good now. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so it's this arc here and this arc here are coming in too much into my sink. So I'm gonna kind of just trace around them and make a new arc that brings it in just a little bit more. And we have to say on face. Oh, wait, we gotta make sure we're editing this guy. All right, so right click, edit component, get our curve, go to the little edges, pull it in a bit, make sure it says on face. So that looks like that'll kind of trim it off a little bit. Same thing with this one. Got to cover it to make sure it says on face. There we go. All right. So now we're going to delete that little like sliver out and then this little sliver out and Control S to save everything. And there, now this one is all cleaned up because I edited the one above. I mean, there's a little bit of edge there, but you know what? We're never going to see it because we're going to be looking at our kitchen like this. So some of this stuff, again, this is going to be a lot harder to get the shape just right if you have an undermount sink, but I will definitely help you with that in class if you need to. All right, now I'm going to quickly kind of show you how we did our islands. So the way we did this is, so if you look at kind of what I have structurally going on, your island is made up of base cabinets. So again, just what you're using along the walls here. In my case, my cabinets are 24 inches deep, but then I wanted about another like 11 inches or so on the other side. So one of the things we talked about in class is 11 inches is enough space to pull up a stool and have it to be like a breakfast bar. If you want to kind of sit and be able to really eat there and have a full like plate, glass, all, you know, your full serving set, basically, you're going to want 24 inches deep, sometimes up to 30. These are small houses, so I didn't want to go this far and kind of run into the traffic pattern of this part of my house. So I kind of kept this kind of shallow, the 11 inches, and then I'm going to put some stools here. This edge here is what's called the waterfall edge, where they come down to the ground. These are really popular right now. So the math of what I have happening here is, so the cabinets underneath are, let me get my ruler here. They are, I think they're 5'6". Yeah, hold on. Let me get in there again. I've got another kind of line going on here. So here to over here is, oh, let me make sure it's on the green. 5'6". Yeah, okay. I'm just a little off over there. So the way this guy got built is, so there's the 5'6", but then there's going to be basically an inch of the edge of the countertop on each side. So that's going to be 5'8". So I'm going to draw over here my little rectangle. Get that one. All right, there's my drawing tool. So I'm going to do 5'8". So 5'8". My depth is, remember, my cabinets are 2 feet. And then I decided to go out basically another foot. So that's going to be 4 foot. And then so it's 5'8" again this way. And then we're going that way. All right. Now I was using this kind of decorative sort of greenish marble. So I'll kind of paint that in now. So we'll get the select tool, paint it in, paint it in. Again, the sooner you paint it means all the pieces are going to be that color. Now I'm going to actually pivot to underneath it. So I'm going to pivot like this and kind of get underneath it. And the waterfall edge is what's coming down to the ground. So I actually need to have that this underside painted also. So I'm going to go like that. All right, now I'm bringing in my lines on each edge 1 inch. So I'm going to go 1 inch this way. Oh, wait, before we do that, we've got to make the thickness of this top. So this top is going to be 1 inch thick this way. So I'm going to pull it down. Actually, no, 1.5. So 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches. That's the thickness of my countertop throughout. Now I'm going to bring in the 1 inch for basically the legs of the island. So I'm going to get my ruler tool right here. I'm going to bring it in 1 inch this way. I'm going to bring it in 1 inch that way. Then I'm going to get my line tool and I'm going to pull it over here. Whoops, come on, right here. Up, it's about there. Okay, there we go, like that. And then over in here, same thing, kind of zoom in, get the edges of that line. Oh, I'm not quite on it, I don't think. There I am. Okay. Am I? Yep. Okay. Well, that one looks a little off. Hang on. Let's get to right there. There's the intersection. There's the intersection there. Good. Okay. Now the math of this guy, all right, so the height of this whole thing is going to be 36 inches. You might have taller. If you want to have a bar height, that's 42 inches, but mine is going to be at counter height. So this is going to be pulled down. So there's the 1.5 inches here. So this actually gets pulled down 34.5 inches. We're going to type 34.5 inches. And then this piece gets pulled down, and I can just kind of match it up to its neighbor right there. All right, now I'm gonna spin it around, take these lines out for us, and then make this a component. So it's gonna be edit, make a component, and then this will be the island countertop. So we'll pull that in too. All right, so that's a quick way to do an island. I may have made mine a little shallower because this guy looks a little bit chunkier. Maybe it's just because I'm on the ground. Let me check my math here. It doesn't look like it's quite the right height. Yeah, no, it's only 2'2". Somehow I didn't get my math right there. So let's pull this down. This whole thing should be 36 inches. So let's edit this guy again. We'll edit this quick, edit component. And actually I'm going to put my 36 inches here. So again, the height needs to be 36. So we're going to put it down like that. And now we're pulling the legs down that way. So here's the base of it. I'm pulling it down to the 36. Here's the base of this guy. Let me get up underneath it. Do I have it? Nope, not yet. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to pull this one down to match up over to the right over here. So I'm just going to pull it over and it's going to snap to it. All right. And now pull it around. That looks more normal. All right. And then this is the piece that then I'm going to be pulling into my kitchen and putting over those cabinets. So again, your math is going to be different than mine. So you're going to have to kind of, do your own measurements, figure that out. Get rid of that line now too. This piece over here was a student has one of your classmates has a flat top, like cooktop here. So the stove, kind of the cooking stove option is here, and their countertop basically makes a big U. So we kind of just worked on that together and showed them that. So this is kind of like countertops 101. And thank you for your patience with cutting all this little bit out. Like I said, this is tricky. This is also the same technique, like I said, you'll do if you have an undermount sink, meaning the sink comes up from the bottom and you don't see the lip of it. Do your best to mimic that shape, but don't make yourself completely crazy. The other thing is if you go to Kohler and you're picking out one of those sinks, there's usually a PDF on the website for that sink that's called like cutout. And if you look at that, it'll give you the precise measurements of literally how they cut out from whatever countertop material to make sure it's the right size and shape for that sink. So there, you can look up the math of that. That you're going to be drawing an oval usually for that. So if you go over here to rectangle, there is a circle tool, which you can also uses to make an oval. And you can also use arches to make an oval. So you can kind of math it out pretty closely once you're starting to feel more confident in drawing this program too. All right, hope this was helpful. And like I said, I'm definitely happy to help you troubleshoot this in class too, though, because it is kind of tricky getting all these angles and really the curves and arcs correct too.